Hey y'all, welcome to What Could Possibly Go Wrong, the podcast where two neurodivergent friends speak about the crossroads of deep anxieties, imagination, and humor. I'm here with my friend Lyndzy. Lindsay, make some noise for yourself.
Squeak, squeak.
Awesome. And maybe a brief introduction?
Hi, my name is Lyndzy. I'm a teacher and I like video games. I dabble in languages and martial arts. I also enjoy the shiny, the glittery, and the macabre, and hanging out with my friend Ari. Ari.
Hey, my name is Ariel, and I'm a travel medical worker, van lifer, and psychological enthusiast. And that's not to say that I have a minutia of intelligence on anything, but more to say that 99% of what comes out of my mouth is to hear the sound of my own voice. All right, let's settle into our armchairs of unpracticed and tattered pieces of our psychological degrees and psychological problems, and let's examine what could possibly go wrong. Lindsay, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about megalomaniacs and technology.
Oh, what could possibly go
No
wrong?
idea, right? Now, like immediately, 100 things come to mind. However, through my research, there are a few things that are a little bit different and interesting about it. So let's start off with some definitions, shall we?
Yes.
Megalomania. In the Merriam-Webster dictionary, megalomania is a delusional mental illness that is marked by feelings of personal omnipotence and grandeur. Now, if we look at the DSM-5, they do mention that megalomania is closely associated with narcissism. Although it doesn't encompass all of narcissism, it really has to do with that focus on grandiosity and the overthinking and imagining that you are number one.
Okay.
So for the definition of technology, Merriam-Webster says, the application of scientific knowledge for practical purposes, especially in industry. Now, for the purposes of technology today, even though I do agree with that, and that does apply to the megalomaniacs we're going to be talking about, I'm speaking about inventive technology, something physical. Because through my research, I found examples of megalomania. I found examples of people who had technology, and then I found people who had both. You would think that everybody would have those closely associated, but we're going to get to that.
Okay.
So let's give some straight examples of megalomania from history. Okay. Caligula, one of my favorites, probably all of the Roman emperors, by the way, because there's such a thing as absolute power corrupting absolutely. Caligula didn't have any kind of special technology, but Caligula was insane. And Caligula was so very full of himself that he actually went to war with Neptune, god of the ocean. He sent his soldiers to whip the ocean and then pillage the seashells from the seashore when they were done. This man who had to show that he was a step above a god, definitely a megalomaniac.
Yes. Yes.
Another example would be Richard Nixon. If the president does it, it's not illegal. I'm sorry, buddy, but according to the Constitution, we have a system of separation of powers and checks and balances, and we did that on purpose not to have someone above the law.
Yes.
So there it is. Did Nixon have any kind of special technology that no one else had? No, just megalomaniac. So let's get into people who had technology but weren't megalomaniacs. The Assyrians had chariots and iron. However, none of their leaders were necessarily megalomaniacs. They're all pretty level-headed people that just kind of wanted to expand their empire. However, let's talk about people who have both. And what I realized through my research is the reason why there's people in the past, okay, that had megalomania without technology was because we didn't have the means of communicating and spreading different ideas that we have today. Okay. So, for example, Napoleon Bonaparte was obviously a megalomaniac. Okay. He said some amazing things. However, he didn't have any kind of technology. He just like had really good maneuvers on the battlefield. He really thought things through and he had to be strategic about it. Now, if you had given Napoleon Bonaparte a tank or a fleet of tanks, would he not have utilized them in some way and become even more powerful than he was? Yes. However, at the time in France, no tanks to be found, clearly. So today we have access to stuff across the globe. We have shipping. We have different ways of getting our hands on things. And so today it's a lot more common for us to have megalomaniacs that have that technology at their hands. And I'm going to post a little bit of a clip. It's a 2-minute clip about our friend in Russia, Vladimir Putin. Here you go.
I've been on the intelligence committee for a dozen years, and the intelligence community usually doesn't like to share information. They want to hold it close. I think they've been beyond their comfort zone, but by leaning forward, I think they've accomplished a couple things. One, I think they've gotten rid of any probability or possibility that Putin could have defended his actions. I mean, we put out, and then the British followed up, that the Russians were going to plan a coup in Ukraine. If we hadn't put that forward, there could have been a coup that would have had the appearance of maybe being led by Ukrainians. Vladimir Putin, over the last couple of years, because of COVID, because for the most part he's been either down in the resort city in Sochi or in his Dhaka, outside of Moscow, he's not had that many people having direct inputs to him. So we're concerned that this kind of isolated individual who's kind of become a megalomaniac in terms of his notion of himself being the only historic figure that can rebuild old Russia or recreate the notion of the Soviet sphere. It's a dangerous character. And one of the reasons why it's so important that this does not simply become a Russia-US battle, but it is the rest of the world condemning his actions. Matter of fact, I don't hear of any leader, with maybe the exception of the former president of the United States, not totally condemning Vladimir Putin at this point.
Wow, that's Yikesville, man.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Initially, when I got into this, I was thinking about a more well-known in America megalomaniac, but Putin, way worse, way worse. Yeah. I mean, I remember when this first came out, when they first started talking in the news about the Ukraine and Russia before he attacked, that he was saying, oh, we're running drills, we're doing this, we're doing that. And literally I'm sitting there straightening my hair in the morning going, they're never going to make it through this. But wow, Zelensky, like chef's kiss, pulled that together and inspired people. And here they are, they're still fighting today with the assistance of several countries, because we have Putin, who from the video, the guy said he believes he's the only one that can bring back old Russia. Anytime you hear the line, they are the only one that can do this, megalomania is involved. Because that is them believing in grandiose fantasies, that they're the only person, that they're special, that they're above everyone else, which again, enmeshes with narcissism. So Putin is a good up-to-date example. Blaming invading the Ukraine on the denazification of the Ukraine, which, by the way, Vladimir Zelensky, I think, is second generation away from Auschwitz, was it? It was one of the camps.
So yeah, I don't know which camp it was, but we are only we're only 80 years removed, right? It was 1944 when the camps were liberated, and they were definitely there for at least, I think, 8 to 10 years. They were established already before the US came and liberated camps. So yeah, we're not so far removed.
Absolutely. And he's trying to say that the Ukraine is full of Nazis. No. It's, again, goes back to what the man in the video said, Vladimir Putin, the only man to bring back old Russia. So that's an example of a megalomaniac with technology. You know, he has access to nukes. We're just going to hope for the best, because I don't think many people realize how close the United States is to Russia. I mean, because we're looking at a map, it's flat, but when we look at the round, it's a little bit closer than you think, and uncomfortably close.
There was a candidate at one point who said she could see Russia from her backyard in Alaska. So there are some of us who are aware of how close it is.
It's true, but it's also, you know, going back to being a teacher, we're not really teaching geography the way we used to. So
fair enough.
I just felt it was necessary to throw it out there. So let's go back in history a little bit of megalomaniacs that did have technology. Okay, we got 336 BCE, Alexander the Great had the catapult, the stone catapult, and it was incredibly accurate. And that helped him take over the world. Why is he a megalomaniac, you ask? He pushed his men, to conquer. They conquered most of the known world, and he kept trying to push them through India. And at that point, these people hadn't been home in many years. And they're like, no, dude, no, we're done. It's time to go home. And he's like, okay, well, fine. It is what it is. And if there is no greater sign of megalomania with Alexander the Great, it is the fact that he named certain cities that he conquered after himself. Alexandria. Ari, let's play more or less. How many cities do you think Alexander the Great named Alexandria?
4.
More.
20.
Exactly 20.
Oh my
Good
God.
guess. Play the lotto tonight. But
All right.
to take 20 cities that you conquered and name them Alexandria, that's pretty deep. On top of the fact that he allowed the Egyptians to worship him as a god.
Well, I mean, duh. I was really throwing 20 out there as like, if I was really full of myself, how many things would I name after? What ridiculous number would I name after myself? And that was the number I pulled out of my butt. The next one was going to be, of course, 42.
Yeah,
But that's a different story.
that is a different story. That's going to have to be an episode now. 2 episodes in a row, we talked about 42.
That's right.
So, okay, so we have Alexander the Great naming 20 cities after himself, Alexandria. Okay, and then we have Genghis Khan. Okay, Genghis Khan, 1206 to 1227. You don't think of the Mongols and think about technology. When you think about the Mongols, I mean, think about dudes that kind of camp out in the fields, you know, and all the horses and such. However,
That's bad marketing.
that's bad marketing. No, but it's bad marketing, but yeah, yep. It is what it is.
I have to add this one in here. Anytime, as somebody with an anthropology background, I hear that somebody who stood against the Romans sacrificed their children, their daughters are ladies of the night, and that they are barbarians, I go to my little anthropology brain and I say, the Romans have a better marketing campaign than anybody else did, because
That's
they are
true.
known for spreading those rumors. Those 3 in particular.
100%. No, definitely. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so Genghis Khan, okay.
Mhm.
Genghis Khan had more access to technology than most people in the ancient world, simply because he was totally open to trade with all of the places that he took over and all the places that they traveled. Also, they were trained to use a bow and arrow on horseback, which other people at the time couldn't do. So between like the mixture of armor from the places that he was trading with and being able to ride a horse and shoot people with a bow and arrow, the Mongols just like totally decimated people. It was pretty deep, even though decimation is a Roman word. Since we keep bringing up Rome in the Megalomaniacs episode, we should throw that out there. So why is Genghis Khan a megalomaniac, despite the fact that some obscene number of people today are related to him? I'm gonna
That
look it up.
explains it. That explains it right
Yeah.
there. I just put 2 and 2 together.
I'm gonna give you a quote. Are you ready for a quote?
Oh, I don't know.
I
Give
am the punishment of God. If you had not committed great sins, God would not have sent a punishment like me upon you.
Wow.
Woo.
I also kind of love that energy though. Like, you know, where most people, when you're talking about megalomaniacs and narcissists, they are God. But Genghis Khan is the darker flip side to that coin. He is the
He's
punishment, the wrath of God.
That's exactly what I said. The wrath of
Mhm.
God is Genghis Khan. Which, by the way, if you haven't heard the Who's song about Genghis Khan yet, you should totally check that out after this. It's amazing. Love Mongolian folk music. Anyway, now back to history. Nobunaga, he, in a time in Japan where people were still fighting with honor, he was like, forget honor. I have guns. And he worked out a system where it would be one line of men after the next line of men with guns, and that was the end. He had his mini empire there for a while.
Yeah.
Thomas Edison.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thomas, is that a surprise?
It was. Well, I haven't done a lot of history on him, so tell me. Fill my brain.
So I'm gonna be straight with you. Okay.
Yeah.
Thomas Edison, it's hard to find a quote by Thomas Edison that sounds anything but altruistic and beautiful and wonderful. Okay.
Good marketing. Yes.
Very, very good marketing. However, the people that worked for him will tell you differently. And his history of stealing technology from other people and putting his name on it is profound. Okay. The one that gets me the most is Nikola Tesla. Okay. Because the fight between him and Tesla was epic. We've got Nikola Tesla, who is sitting here with AC electricity, being like,
yeah.
hey, everybody, I want to give this to the world for free. I've just got to figure out a way to do it. I mean,
Sure.
no electric bill. I think everybody likes that idea. And then we've got Thomas Edison, who prefers to take other people's inventions and monetize it. Is that usually good? No. However, I do have to give him the one positive that if he wasn't trying to monetize this stuff, it would have taken a lot longer for us to have these technologies in our households today.
Okay.
However, he went as far as to electrocute an elephant to try to create propaganda that a DC current was safer than an AC current. And there is a video of it, and I am going to add that video to this. And it is, yep. It's
I don't think I can watch that.
would the elephant have been equally as dead with the DC current? Yes.
If not more so. No, I am
So-
horrified because I do actually understand alternating current and direct current, and the alternating current seems like it would be exceptionally more painful, but also direct current would make you just as dead.
Yes. So if you see what I'm saying, if you search Thomas Edison online, you'll read nothing but altruistic, wonderful quotes. But a man who would electrocute an elephant to create propaganda to
Yeah.
simply get the money from the people to be able to monetize electricity and not give it to folks for free. Yeah,
Yep,
that's
yep, I'm done. That's yep. Yep, that's
Yep.
all you needed to say. So animal cruelty, and I'm out.
I'm sorry, dude.
You're good.
Oh, so then obviously the world's grossest example, Adolf Hitler.
Oh yeah, our favorite.
Quote from Adolf Hitler again: "When you're the only one to do something, that's the hint that you're a megalomaniac." I am convinced that I am acting as the agent of the Almighty Creator. By fighting the Jews, I am doing the Lord's work. And did he have technology? Yes, he had radio guided weapons, bombs, and propaganda. Because honestly, I think that
And
use
the occult. Can't forget the
and the
occult.
occult. Oh my God, that's got to be a whole episode.
That's
Okay,
gonna be a
so
whole
that's
episode.
gonna be a whole episode. We're looking at you, South America. No, anyway. But he had all of those technologies, and look what he did: mass genocide, and very efficiently and horrifying.
Yes.
So that brings us up to today. We've gone through megalomaniacs in history with technology, and now today our friends, Vladimir Putin, that we've already gone over, Kim Jong-un. Okay, I have to share with you my favorite thing that I read in getting ready for this. Are you ready?
I'm so not, but go for it.
North Korea thinks that Kim Jong-un controls the weather. There's been several news articles about it. They think that with his emotions, he controls the weather, and he lets them think this, and yep.
This
Again,
also this has to be propaganda also. I'm sorry. This has to be Southern Korea propaganda against Northern Korea in order to illustrate that whole peoples are that stupid. Because I don't think that there would be anyone who would believe such a thing.
the question is, do they believe it, or are they not going to question him?
That's valid. Very valid.
Mm-hmm. And
I would also say they're not going to question him because they can't.
Exactly. Yep, they cannot. And we've got this dude shooting nukes out into the ocean. Again, not as far from the United States as you would think. And especially right around the Trump presidency, there were a lot of creepy statements from him.
There were also a lot of creepy activities over there that
Mhm.
are a lot of information was talked about, what was moving, troop movements, things like that were happening in an unsettling way, which it really encouraged, I think, people to support Trump in his friendship. Yeah. Okay,
No,
sorry.
I'm sorry. No, like friendship is really the bunny. Look at my camera.
Yeah.
The bunny ears that are necessary there. No, no. And I hope Trump doesn't believe that that was a friendship either. We have these people alive today, definitely megalomaniacs, definitely have their hands on world destroying technology. What could possibly go wrong? I think it's kind of obvious at this point. Mass genocide, complete wipeout of the human race. And what can we do about it? Nothing, because we have these weapons and they're available to the people with the most money. And there it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh. So,
So what could go right then?
okay.
Because I think we really explored the depths, or I mean, we didn't explore them. I think it's almost obvious the depths in which that could go terribly wrong.
Yeah.
Um, but what could go right?
Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Megalomaniacs with technology could advance technology at a high rate. For example,
Like back
Elon
to Thomas
Musk.
Edison. Oh, no, not that man.
Yeah, that man, who I also put next to Thomas Edison as somebody who didn't actually invent anything, just stole other people's ideas and marketed it correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, the incandescent bulb, I mean, sorry, going back to Edison again, the
Yeah.
incandescent bulb was already being worked on. It had already been invented, but who made it so that we could have it every day in our household? Thomas Edison. Here we are with Elon Musk, not a good man to work for and not a good man to deal with, but his megalomania, ever present and ever driving him forward, makes him want to be the first to do something. And it makes him want to be the first to make something available to everyone because he's so, what's the word I'm looking for? He's so obsessed
Egotistical.
because he is so egotistical and because he is so obsessed with proving that he is everything that he says he is. Okay. He says he's like the only one that can do things. And that's, again, falls in line with megalomania. But it does push us to move forward. We've got the space race to Mars going on. We kind of dropped out of space for a while there after we made it to the moon, and his egotism has gotten us back to looking into that. We do have more electric cars, and we are looking into better forms of technology. And that happenstance, even though technically the batteries for electric cars are really bad for the environment, but it's a step in the right direction.
And
Um,
technically, the space race is also incredibly bad for the environment.
yes,
So,
it's, but would we have this technology if it wasn't for megalomaniacs like Edison and Musk going, I need to be first, I need to be number one? Would we be able to care enough in a world where we have so much going on right now to be involved in that if we didn't have these crazy people in the background working on it? I can't honestly say that we would.
that's true. That's
So,
true.
yep, this
And
one.
to just briefly touch on the little psychological bits of this is that, one of the mainstays, like you said, of narcissism, but also psychopathy, is the lack of empathy for other people and the desire to be special amongst them.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I can definitely see how megalomania would be both important for their ego to drive their desire to be the important person, the center of it all, and also be very dangerous at the same.
If only if only there was a way we could take these megalomaniacs and put them in a room alone and be like, here, we'll give you everything you want. Work on this. Just have no physical contact with anybody that works for you. We'll send somebody, we'll send somebody
Yeah,
else in there. You have a really good HR department. I mean, then we'd get a lot done in a more humanitarian way, I think.
I would actually argue that they would probably have nothing done because they wouldn't be able to show anyone how grand that they were. You know, that
Mhm.
is really the driving force, is that they must be the wrath of God, the hand of justice, the, you know, the number one philanthropist, whatever. They must be the creme de la creme, and if you're in a room alone, you cannot do that.
If you're in a room alone, you cannot do that. But to the public eye, when you get to introduce it with your name, as opposed to being the person that just deals with the people on the daily, is kind of where I'm thinking. Because yeah, if
Isn't
they couldn't
that
take
what a
credit, they wouldn't
CEO
want it.
is?
Huh?
Isn't that what an actual CEO is, though?
Uh,
The guy in a
it
room in
should,
an office that doesn't deal with anyone.
now that I'm thinking about it, that probably further defines their megalomania, because that is probably what a regular CEO is. But if you have megalomania, you probably want to be all up in every aspect of that stuff. That,
Man,
yep, good call. Good
wow.
call. It would be nice, but it's not going to happen. All right.
All right. Well, I think I'll see us out. Thanks for joining us for this episode of What Could Possibly Go Wrong. I hope you enjoyed the rabbit trails and the hopeful hilarity of when intrusive thoughts meet reality. Stay safe and remember to ask for help when you need it. Bye.
Bye.